We're going to be talking about Kevin O'Connell and JJ McCarthy on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Welcome in. My name is Patrick Seatman. So we're going to be talking about the head coach and the quarterback because still at the end of the day, in the 2025 modern day version of the NFL, it is a head coach quarterback league. And the Vikings head coach and the Vikings quarterback this past week against the Ravens, they frankly weren't good enough. So we'll talk about Kevin O'Connell and why he is really kind of stuck in his ways right now. And also we'll discuss, is it time to give up on JJ McCarthy? I think it's ludicrous that we're even asking this, but I do want to dive into JJ on the second half of today's show. But you guys be honest with me with this one. How are you feeling about the head coach, Kevin O'Connell? Should KOC be on the hot seat? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Curious to see what you guys got to say. But drop your thoughts down below in the comments section. Now, I do want to say this first off, and something I respect about Kevin O'Connell, and something we really haven't seen for KOC just yet. He took a lot of accountability during the press conference. It was him saying, I got to be better. I got to get my guys more prepared. I need to be a better head coach. And I really respected that because even when the Vikings have had, really just painful losses in the Kevin O'Connell era, yes, he has taken some accountability, but I felt like in the press conference earlier today, he really wore it on the chest. And the one thing I actually absolutely loved from Kevin O'Connell was him standing on business about the 3rd and 1 interception where the Vikings first drive of the second half, they had 2 very productive runs for 22 yards. Then they had a 3rd and 1 situation. And KOC said he would call the exact same play again on that 3rd and 1 interception. He also noted that he was going to give his guy, Justin Jefferson, a one-on-one chance every single day of the week. And I agree with that. I understand the result and the execution of that play was horrible. But I'm a process over results guy, and the process of him willing to take a chance with his young quarterback, he said he needed to be aggressive to beat the Ravens, and that was being aggressive. So even though that play call kind of drove me crazy in the moment, but you really just think about it, it was 3rd and 1, Ravens running cover 0, he had Justin Jefferson one-on-one on a deep post. Obviously, the result was not what we wanted. Jefferson got tripped up, couldn't make a play on the football, ended up being a bad interception for JJ McCarthy. But I do respect KOC in pretty much just saying, hey, if I had to do it again, I would do it again. I'm going to trust number 18. I'm going to trust Justin Jefferson. So I did absolutely love this. But let's talk about the negative about Kevin O'Connell here, and it's all short yardage situation. So Adam Patrick tweeted this out way early on this morning at 1:15 in the morning. He said Vikings on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and JJ McCarthy's 4 games, they have ran 12 pass plays. They have resulted in 0 first downs. And they have ran 6 run plays. That has resulted in 5 first downs. So that data right there is telling you the Vikings are obviously way better in those situations in terms of with running the football compared to passing the football. And this right here is putting a lot of pressure on JJ McCarthy, a guy who has dealt with accuracy issues so far in his first 4 career starts. How about you make his life a little bit easier? How about you run the football? But even this coming in from Phil Mackey, I thought this was a great tweet by our guy Phil. Him saying when the Vikings pass on 3rd or 4th and short, 2 yards or less, they're 4 of 19. That's 21%. But when they run on 3rd or 4th and short or less, they are 10 for 14. And he made a great point here. Yet Kevin O'Connell continues to pass in those situations more than almost any team in the National Football League. So short yardage situations. KOC still kind of stuck in his ways. He won't change. He's still going to be ultra aggressive in terms of passing the football. I don't frankly understand it because you spent a first-round pick on Donovan Jackson. You got a bruising physical back in Jordan Mason. You spent $88 million in free agency on Will Fries to shore up the interior of the offensive line. You still don't run the football. So there's really no more excuses for KOC when it comes to running the football because, back in 2022, 2023, you could chalk it up to the Vikings had a bad interior offensive line. I thought Dalvin Cook and also Alexander Mattison in both those years, they weren't playing too good of football. I didn't feel like they were the best running backs in the league. But in 2024, a little better. But still, in a season where you won 14 games, you would assume they would be a better rushing team than they were. And then this year, again, you're not running the football. And what is so frustrating is that we see his mentor, the tree he came from, Sean McVay, he has changed his philosophy. He has changed his scheme. He has adjusted. Sean McVay, the Los Angeles Rams, please go watch some of their games. They are running 13 personnel at the highest rate in the league, which pretty much means you have one running back on the field and 3 tight ends. They clearly have found an advantage the way defenses are running now their modern-day schemes is saying, hey, we can get downhill. We can be a more physical team. And also when they do have, multiple wide receiver sets, Puka Nacua, one of the best run-blocking wide receivers in the league. Devontae Adams, he's never been a good run blocker, but this year he's been fantastic. So Sean McVay has changed. He has turned the Rams into being one of the more physical football teams in the league, and physicality wins. It is always won in the NFL, and I think people have kind of gotten away from it over the last couple of years, but you look at the Eagles, what they did last year, a physical team on both sides of the football, and now Sean McVay with the Rams, one of the best teams in the league, they're a physical team. But also what's bothered me with Kevin O'Connell, where's TJ Hawkinson? Like, I don't think TJ Hawkinson is the same guy. I think he is a cooked product of what he used to be back in the day. But he shouldn't be a no-show. He shouldn't just have 241 yards to the air this season. He's got to get more involved. 31 catches. Like, this is the safety net for a young quarterback. Like, JJ McCarthy had such a good relationship with Colston Loveland back at Michigan. Why can't he have the same with Hawk? Now, I think Loveland's a much better tight end than TJ Hawkinson, but it's not like Hawk is like a bottom 3 starting tight end in the league. You still should be getting a lot more production out of number 87. But this is the thing that really drove me crazy, and as it should. The Vikings, 8 false starts versus the Ravens, is tied for the second most in a game by the home team with the 2005 Rams. That is the most since 2000. So there has been 2 instances where a home team has had 8 false starts, one being the Vikings yesterday. And that's not just on Kevin O'Connell. That's on that's on the quarterback as well. That's on JJ McCarthy. And maybe this is just a reps thing where, obviously you're at home, you're going to the hard count a lot more. I also do think it's a little bit of a kind of a false narrative and a bad take where it's like, false starts at home are almost inexcusable compared to like false starts on the road. But when you're at home, you're trying to draw these guys off sides. You're trying to get an advantage with the hard count. And when you have a new quarterback in there, it can be very, very frustrating. And it can just get these guys a little more jumpy on the line of scrimmage. And that clearly was the case yesterday. I mean, Brian O'Neill after the game said he's never seen anything like it. I mean, obviously. I mean, that was the second time since 2000 a team has had 8 false starts at home. So that's on the head coach getting his team prepared, but that's also on the quarterback. Like, you are the leader of the offense. You have to make sure everybody is in the right position. So those two in a head coach quarterback league, they got to be better. But I will say, after listening to Kevin O'Connell's press conference, I am feeling optimistic about the rest of this season. He really took accountability. And that is one thing I respect about him. Like, he didn't try to dance around any of these questions. I also, even though I have said in the past, like, Vikings local media kind of give Kevin O'Connell some softball questions. I thought the local media, the guys that were asking the questions today were absolutely fantastic. They were nailing it on the head. They were asking about the false starts. They're asking about, Jefferson's body language. They're asking about JJ McCarthy. They're asking about his play calling decisions, and KOC just wore it all in the chest. He was standing on business, so it is making me feel more optimistic, at least just about the direction of this team. Because, listen, waking up this morning was tough. Feeling down about this team, feeling down about your head coach. But after listening to that press conference, like, it really does seem like this team, they're not wavering too much. And especially in times like this, coming off a 14-win season, now you're 4-5, it can be easy to waver. But I will say KOC got my respect out of the press conference today. So I know this may be tough. I know a lot of you guys are out on Kevin O'Connell, but he's still a damn good head coach. And I still really do believe that. So if you guys want to show KOC some love, somebody's got to support him, and maybe us Vikings fans should. So if you guys want to show KOC some love, give me those KOCs down below. Now I want to share with you guys these stats around Justin Jefferson, which is a little concerning. Here's his passer rating when targeted over his first 6 years of his NFL career. And you see, first 5 seasons, all well over 100. I mean, even his rookie year, 116. Sophomore year, 113. 2022, 107. 2023, 109.8. 2024, 106.3. But this year, 64.9. And listen, obviously these aren't good stats. Pretty damn concerning. But I also have full faith in number 18 turning around. But there's also no doubt, like, he hasn't been the same guy this year. I don't know if it's him just kind of, going through the growing pains of having Carson Wentz, having JJ McCarthy. I'm sure he's frustrated, and I'm sure he's one of those guys that, probably behind closed doors is like, what the hell are we doing letting Sam Darnold walk? We just won 14 games. I just went for 1,500 yards. I just had an unbelievable season. So I'm sure he is a little frustrated as well. But his body language wasn't great yesterday. His performance on the field wasn't great. But also, is this going to be a trend for Justin Jefferson that continues? I promise you it won't. I got full faith in number 18 turning it around. So those are my thoughts on KOC, Justin Jefferson. Now coming up here, I do want to give you guys my thoughts on JJ McCarthy and why Vikings fans should just take a deep breath and be patient. But before we do so, today's episode is brought to you guys by PrizePicks, and the hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Now, PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. If you guys want to pick more on JJ McCarthy's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns this weekend against the Bears, well, now you can't pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. You guys can also follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app. Copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, or to someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on PrizePicks. So download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in that promo code CONS, get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk about number 9 here. Let's talk about JJ McCarthy. And is it time to panic about JJ? Kind of spoil my answer to this. Absolutely not. Keep in mind, context to everything in life. This is his 4th career start, playing the Baltimore Ravens. John Harbaugh, a hell of a defensive-minded head coach. And this Ravens defense is traded for Draymond Jones. They got all their guys back. They really were only missing Matabike. So clearly a tough spot for McCarthy. But his advanced stats yesterday, not bad. He had 4 big-time throws, which this is obviously a subjective stat, but having 4 big-time throws in a game is pretty damn good. Now, he also had 3 turnover-worthy plays, 5.9%. His adjusted completion percentage, a little shocked it's even that high. I thought he was incredibly inaccurate, but 64.7%. Now, this is, for most quarterbacks, reading the ADOT being above 10 yards, you're like, oh, that's fantastic. He's pushing the ball down the field. But with where J.J. McCarthy's at, I almost think this is a bad thing. I think this is honestly a reflection on Kevin O'Connell. Give him some easy ones. Have him kind of be more of a Brock Purdy, Mac Jones-esque quarterback where they're kind of just dinking and dunking their way, get him in rhythm more. But this is also what I love. His pressure-to-sack ratio was 4.5%, by far his lowest of his NFL career so far. So he was able to maneuver the pocket well. KOC also said that in his press conference. He said he thought J.J. McCarthy's footwork was really good. He was evading a lot of free rushes by the Ravens. He was sticking in there, making some big-time throws. So that is some good stats there. I mean, all of these should be very encouraging for how you feel about number 9. And listen, my message to Vikings fans would just be like, please be patient with him. Again, he was a developmental quarterback. He is still the youngest quarterback that is starting right now in the NFL. This is going to take time. This is not going to be something where you just flip a switch and it's like, all right, snap, J.J. McCarthy, 5th career start. He's in there. J.J. could go have a great game against the Bears. Then he could go struggle for 2 more. Then he could have a great game again. Then he could struggle for 2 more. This will be a process, so just be patient with him. It's his 4th career start, learning a new offense still, playing a whole different style compared to what he did at Michigan. So just be patient with number 9. It's going to take some time, and I do respect KOC. He was defending his quarterback today. He was showing JJ all types of love, and that's something I really do respect out of Kevin O'Connell because, I don't know whose decision, it really was at the end of the day to let Sam Darnold walk, but KOC could, he could really have just buried JJ today at the press conference, but he didn't. He showed him a lot of love. He gave him a lot of, respect for fighting, which JJ did throughout that entire game, and I thought this quote was very, just spot on. All experience is good experience at this point. That's what KOC said on JJ, and that is very, very true. Like, even if it's good experience, bad experience, all types of experience for a young quarterback is key. And honestly, I think sometimes bad experiences can be more beneficial for him growing and becoming an elite quarterback eventually down the line, because also I know JJ, he's not going to let this get him down. Like, he's going to build off this. And hopefully he has a bounce-back game this upcoming weekend against a very poor Bears defense. But I also thought this was interesting from KO. He was just saying that QB is such a rhythmic position, and he was kind of making the comparison to Steph Curry in basketball. It's like, hey, if Steph he misses a couple jump shots, if you can just get to the free throw line, get a couple easy ones, then he won't miss a shot for the rest of the game. Kind of compared that to J.J. McCarthy, where he was feeling like he should have done a better job of getting J.J. McCarthy more layups, where it's just like, hey, 3-yard out, let's get him back in rhythm. Because it is a rhythmic position. Like, just like how if you're a shooter in basketball, you see a couple of jump shots go in, you're just seeing back iron for the rest of the game. That's how the Vikings should handle JJ. He's a very emotional player. He's a very up-and-down player right now. That was on full display yesterday, so get him more in rhythm. I think that could be beneficial. But still, coming out of yesterday's game, if we're thinking long-term for JJ McCarthy, I think that was a good experience. So I do agree with KO on that one. But if you guys are still a believer in number 9, JJ McCarthy. Type those 9s down below in the comments section, and we'll get on out of here. Appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. As always, let's go Vikes.